So the way I see a lot of business owners develop their business, and there's one piece in there that is the personal piece that comes in stages. And everybody's at different stages at different times. And the way I like to equate it, it's probably something like the different stages of grief. When you lose somebody, you have these different stages. It starts off, I'm not a grief expert, but I'm sure it starts off with a shock in there, right? The shock of losing the loved one, and then the recovery process is in different stages, and it's something that can't be rushed. It's something that is developed over time, and how you manage that grief. I believe it's the same thing with a lot of business owners when it comes to their personal development, because a lot of business in itself is learning a lot about yourself too at the same time. Having the stamina to be able to withstand all the ups and downs of having a business. And I find that different people are at different stages of their development. The ease of the business and how it flows is typically in alignment with where they are on that development journey. And the development journey is, a lot of people don't recognize that the trauma is something that can impact who you are as an individual, and can impact everything around us, from the energy to the energy, how we show up. You know, it was interesting because I was looking at the videos that I have on my website, and these were videos that I had created about 3 years ago, before COVID. And I look at the videos now and I'm sitting here going, well, they're fine, but they don't reflect who I am anymore, because I've changed over the last 2 or 3 years through the journey. So it really is, different people are at different stages. It was interesting because I was in a meeting the other day, just last week, and they were talking about personal development, and there were 2 very strong personalities in that conversation. And it was interesting because one person said, I was where you were 2 or 3 years ago. And the person who was where they were 2 or 3 years ago, it was like, you still have all these phases to go through. Right? But we couldn't, it's not something you tell them. It's something that they'll discover, that they still have a ways to go. And do you ever finally get there? No. It's a journey, and it continually changes.
Well, you got that right. It does continually change. And you're right. What we're doing with the conscious transformational coaching certification is addressing the ability for people to help. Because, what's the purpose of a coach? The purpose of a coach is just to help you get there faster. That's all a coach does. Everybody is creative, capable, resourceful, and whole already. So a coach doesn't fix anything. We just make it where you can get there faster. And what we're doing is giving coaches a vehicle that allows them to express themselves with certainty and give guarantees of results, so that then people will listen to them when they share their brilliance that will help that person get there faster. And they can immediately resolve the mental and emotional blocks that prevent their clients from taking action. And your perspective, Nicki, is just amazing, because how many people do you work with? What kinds of businesses are you working with now?
I work with a lot of health professionals. I have two very distinct target markets. One is on my marketing stream, similar to yours. I have a 6 week or 5 week program leads to the 3 day that leads to the long term.
So
But
what
that
do
one's
people-
mainly marketing.
Okay, so
based.
they're learning how to market their businesses.
Well, they're learning the core foundational elements.
Mm-hmm.
So when they do choose to whatever marketing stream that they take, they'll get results. These are the missing pieces that a lot of people go into marketing without realizing, hey, my message isn't very clear. I don't really know who I serve. I don't really have all these pieces, and I don't really know what my zone of genius is that I'm being known for. And you wonder why marketing isn't working for them.
Right. Yes. It was such a mystery to me. And through our conversations, I started understanding it a little better. So, okay, so that's the one side. You work with people on the core foundational pieces that they need to have in place to create effective marketing.
Exactly. And so that's one stream. The other stream, which is actually quite different, and I don't do a lot of marketing, however, people just end up being drawn to me,
Yep.
I guess, is on the operation side, is how to build systems and the core foundations for your business to be sustainable and scalable. Building your team, building the systems, understanding what are the core elements in place to run a sustainable business. Most of the people who are in that demographics is they've achieved a level of success within their business, except they're pulling their hair out because they know it's not sustainable.
Oh, yeah. Been there, done that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I still have hair, which is really quite amazing in and of itself. What do you see as coming in this service industry? Because we're talking specifically about the healing, the health providers, the service provider industry. What do you see as coming?
In that industry?
Yeah, because that's who you primarily serve, right? With the core foundational pieces of marketing.
Yeah, one of the challenges with that piece, with that demographics, is I'll be totally upfront. It's oversaturated.
So because, and there once was a time that when I was networking, at any networking group I walked into, if I threw a rock, I could hit 6 realtors. Mm-hmm. Now, if I throw a rock, I hit 20 life coaches. Mm-hmm. So is that what you're meaning?
Yes. Everybody, and which is why I get them to really focus in niche. Mm-hmm. Because that's the only way you're going to differentiate yourself.
Yeah. So I think that you're right that it's oversaturated only because of the lack of finding their niche, as you put it. Yeah. And I feel like you say tomato, I say tomato. You say niche, I say niche. Yeah. The power of that for these people, when they understand that the more they are clear on who is the one person they serve, the more other people can hear them.
Yes.
And it's got nothing to do with where the money comes from. This was the mind-blowing thing for me. The more I focused in on women entrepreneurs, because that was as close as I could get to niching down. Okay, because the riches are in the niches. That's why I pronounce it niches, because it rhymes with riches. Yeah, I could get to women entrepreneurs. That's not so niched. Now I focus specifically on coaches because they have this real challenge with making money right now. And I have my way of addressing it. You have your way of addressing it. We're both serving the same exact market in our own unique ways. And there are plenty. Guys, there's plenty. It's not that you can't make a living as a coach. You just can't make a living as a coach if you don't understand who your ideal client is. It's harder. It's harder. So when I niched down, it was hysterical. My group programs were filled with women entrepreneurs, and my private clients were all men. I made my money with the men, and I was not marketing to men. But they heard me in networking groups, and they heard me being clear, concise, compelling, and connected to my audience. And they wanted that for themselves. So I wasn't talking to them, but they were coming over going, hey, do you also work with men? Yeah. And they don't want a group program. They wanted one-on-one, which is how my one-on-one business built up to the point that now I have to teach other people how to do what I do because I've got demand I can't fill.
Right.
And that's what will happen for every single one of the people who understand that as a coach, the more you niche down, the more you get clear, concise, and compelling and connected in your message.
Yes.
The faster you will fill up your
Yes.
slot. And the more you can charge.
Yes. And
certainty comes with a price tag, guys.
The challenge is getting them to trust in the process that niching down will serve them better. I mean, when I talk about the messaging, I have examples that I show them as to why you would want to niche down in the messaging. Because I can very clear, like usually, you know, that's in my webinar, right? My webinar, I talk about the difference between one target market for these versus the other and how the message changes, and all of a sudden like light bulbs come on and they're going, I get it now. That's why I'm not attracting people, is because I'm too generic. Mm-hmm. I'm not speaking to the heart. I mean, there is, there's a statistic that is 72% of people only resonate with messages that is connected to them. And those are the customized messages.
Oh, yeah. Because we speak to the head, and the head is not where we make decisions. We make decisions from the heart and the gut. Yeah, we make decisions emotionally.
Yes.
And then we justify them with our head.
Yes.
And yeah. any woman who's ever had to speak to her husband about the dress she just bought knows how to do this. You know, we made the decision emotionally based on how we felt wearing that in the dressing room.
Yes.
And then we justified it logically to our guy later. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a really old sexist gender thing example, but let's face it, even if we're the ones making all the money, we still have that discussion with our guys. Yes. Or with our friends, or yeah. So this is a delightful conversation, Nicki. Thank you very, very much.
When I'm working with coaches and I ask them who they serve and basically they come back and say, oh, I help people who are stuck and they don't know where to turn. That's a very common answer that I get. The problem is you and 100 other coaches are doing the same thing. And the real key to marketing is about finding an area that you can help them excel past. And it's the specifics that will get you noticed. It's not about helping you get people unstuck and moving forward. Is do you help them in a specific area? And that's where they'll really connect with in the message, when you're able to give them more specifics, because that general message that I'll help you get unstuck is the same message that, like I said, 100 other coaches are saying the exact same thing.
Yep.
And the question is how are you different?
I love the fact that you can address that one specific challenge, because I see it industry-wide. Absolutely. And people are afraid to say how I'm different. They are relying on the language that they're given in their trainings as a coach. And as a multi-certified expert, I know that as a health practitioner, as a mediator, as a personal development trainer, as a mindset magician, none of the people who trained me gave me language that allowed me to differentiate myself in the marketplace. I mean, it wasn't part of the training. And so then they wonder why only the people who run the schools are making a living and the coaches, the practitioners, and the healers are struggling to get clients. They're discounting their rates all the time instead of owning their own lane of brilliance within whatever certification they have. And the minute they can own their lane of brilliance and speak to the one person that they can get immediate results for, when they speak only that, then they stand out.
Can I give you an example, Jackie?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Okay, so the tools are the same. It's how we use the tools and we present the tools that are different. Mm-hmm. So as an example is if you've got someone who services a demographics, let's say people who have just separated and have divorced, their emotional trauma at that period of time is very specific to having your loved one have just left them, or maybe you left them. Doesn't really matter. It's the separation process. Mm-hmm. However, and you're helping that specific individual discover their zone of genius and how they can get past the emotional trauma of having just gone through a divorce. So you have a set of tools that you help them through that. Now, we have a second coach who decides that they want to specialize in working with people who have just had kids move out of the house, so now they're in empty nest syndrome. They're going to use the same tools to help them get through that trauma of suddenly having no kids to take care of around the house. And they're going to use these tools to help them get past that. However, the language and the words that you use to speak to the empty nesters are different than how you speak to the people who are divorcing and are separating. The tools are the same. The process is the same. They're still going through a trauma. However, the words that you use to connect them are different.
Very, very different. And you know what drives me nuts? It's when coaches in a networking event are talking about their tools, not about the outcome of using the tools for the people they want to serve, because the outcomes are very different for those two groups. And yet they could actually be addressed with the same language. What do they want? If they're separating and divorcing or their kids are leaving, they want to figure out how to be in the center of their own lives. So the outcome they want can be explained that way, but the benefits of the outcome are very different depending on who you're talking to. And it's like, guys, talk about the benefits of what you do for your ideal client and don't tell them how you're going to help them because they don't care.
I'm going to give you another example. This is my favorite example. Okay. There's something wrong with my car. So I'm going to take it to the mechanic. Right. And I tell the mechanic, the car is making this funny knocking sound and I'm really worried. It just doesn't feel right. And it just doesn't feel right. And I'm worried about my safety. Right. So that's why I brought the car in and I want you to take a look at it. And then the mechanic starts sitting here going, well, you know what? It could be the timing belt or it could be spark plugs aren't firing and blah, 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 blah.
You don't care.
And I look at the mechanic and I'm sitting here going, I don't really care which tools you use to fix this. I don't care if you're using a screwdriver or whatever it is and you need spark plugs. Can you fix it?
That's all people want to know from their coaches. And coaches are talking about, well, we'll do this assessment and then we'll do this. And the person you're talking to doesn't care.
All they care about is, can you fix it?
And that's why I created the Client Results Guaranteed workshop, is because in 1 hour, I can figure out why people can't say that. Why do we hesitate to say, I can help you with that? And the answer is because we bought into a bunch of limiting beliefs. There's a lot of training, a lot of the training I took. The people teaching the training didn't believe that the practitioners could make a living. I found that out when I graduated. they invited me to be an instructor. And they told me after they turned them down 3 times to be an instructor, because I wanted to go heal the world. I was pain-free in my back. I had been a chronic back pain sufferer. I wanted to go heal the world. And they said, well, only the instructors are making a living. Our practitioners aren't. They've been certifying people for more than a decade, to almost 2 decades at that point. And they hadn't figured out how the practitioners could make a living. I would felt totally betrayed. And then everything that I've studied since then, all of the certifications that I have, I ran into the exact same limiting belief among the instructors. And I started taking on clients. I had an acupuncturist. The registrar told her acupuncturist made $75,000 a year. Halfway through her schooling, one of her instructors says, that's not true. The average is about 30 grand. Oh boy. She bought into the limiting belief of the instructor, thinking he had more credibility than the registrar. And in training, we unleashed her from that instructor's limiting belief. And she made more money that month than she had made the year before. It is what, it was amazing. It is what we believe that determines what we do. And if you believe you're not ready to stand in your certainty as a coach, that's why you're struggling to make money. And so you need somebody to guide you back to the center of your own life, back to your certainty. So Nicki, helping people get to the certainty around their message, helping them get over talking about their tools, which is giving credibility to whoever trained them, and helping them be certain about the outcome. I mean, I tell my certification students, you trust the methodology to get the outcome, and you talk about the outcome. Nobody cares how. Yeah, this is funny. I was teaching and I'm going, okay, you are now a certified conscious transformational coach, and people are going to hear certified and they're going to hear coach, and they're not going to care what's in the middle. Nobody cares what kind of certification you have. They care about the result you're going to get for them. And that's even, I mean, that's my program. And I know nobody cares about conscious transformation. It sounds good. I like the words, but yeah, but nobody cares. They care about the results of that, you know, which is exactly what you address. And so I love this conversation, Nicki. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.